Super excited to have this conversation. I know you and I have been talking a lot about branding and authenticity, and I love your photos. There's clearly some genius you have behind the camera that it's not just about clicking the button. You have an ability to see and bring out and capture people's authentic brand. And when we're talking assets like the photos that are going on your website and your social media, it's not just about having that picture. The assets I get thrilled to work with as a marketer are the ones that come from people like you, that it actually lends itself to all the other work I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to bring out that authentic brand and I'm trying to give the audience something genuinely to connect to. And you really managed to do it in your photos. And we're going to get
Oh my
into
gosh. Thanks so much. Okay, I think we can go now.
commercials done. It's over.
Well, it's so interesting how you said that because you need all the things together, right? You need all the marketing tactics, the great words, the focus on the proper audience and have those all coincide with the visuals and those things work together. It's not just one thing. All these things are sort of working in tandem. So thank you. And I'm inspired by you because every time we get on a call, we can jabber on about branding for hours. So I really appreciate you, having this conversation with me.
We're branding nerds. I think we see
Yeah.
the power of what it does for a business, and
Yeah.
knowing that someone else gets it, it's exciting. So tell me a bit about
Yes.
your business. Introduce yourself and who you are now that we've gotten super excited about everything.
Okay. Okay, I'm Deanna Renelli. I'm a personal branding photographer in Toronto. I've been a photographer for 20 years. It's had different iterations. My business has had different iterations. So I sort of, pared back and started up again and started focusing with personal branding. And I love working with entrepreneurs, businesses of all sizes, because like what we're going to get into, we're going to realize that, startups need photos just as much as, mid-sized businesses who have been in, running for 3 to 5 years, which is usually the ideal for me. But because I'm going to try to convince you that as you're starting up, you really do need some great photos. Hopefully, some people will be enticed to seek that out for themselves.
I will add and weigh in on that I will try to convince you that everybody should have great photos to start with. When I get a client that comes to me for marketing or social media or their website, if they tell me they've done a brand photo shoot, I am so happy because it means immediately any work I do for them is now that much higher quality because they have those
Exactly.
photos to work with. Okay.
Exactly.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about how that professional photography can elevate a entrepreneur or small business's brand identity and why it's so crucial to start with it and the authenticity it brings at the early stage of business.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just start with photos in general. I mean, we know that they proliferate anything that's social media, websites, any kind of marketing. We see them everywhere. And the reason is because they create a memorable, positive first impression. So that's one of the, primary reasons why you need to sort of you need quality photographs. So, having quality photographs is not even just about showing up authentically. It has to do with giving you credibility. Like if you have an attention to detail, where you know that having a dark photo in some closet is not going to attract clients, then I feel like I can trust you more because I can see you in the light of day doing what it is that you do that makes you special, that, attracting the clients that you're looking for. So, that's the other thing, like really great quality photos will help you tell your story, your brand story. And having a brand story is very important to building a business. I'm talking to the converted, all that, but just for people, like it just sort of backs up all the words. People need to see you. They need to know that you're credible. They want to know that you're reliable. So yeah, it also really differentiates you from other businesses. I mean, you know, we all talk about how much noise there is out there these days. It's crazy, right? I mean, everybody's just hoping to get seen for 1 second. Like, wow, okay, 1 second, how are you going to stop somebody and have them look at what you're doing? And I mean, the originality of your business is you,
Mm.
usually you and what you do and the products that you create or services that you offer. So yeah, I mean, it creates like this emotional connection with people and it creates perceived value. So high quality photos create perceived value. I mean, just think about it. Like, what are the brands that you like? Who do you follow? What do you like? I mean, you know, that should give you a lot of information on how to help yourself and your business.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. I love that you get it, that it's twofold. It's both that it's a visual asset for your social media feed, your website, anything of that, because the quality is there. And then that
Yeah.
lends itself to professionalism. But it's also the fact that you are your business, you are your brand. If you are
Are.
not bringing yourself to it, you're painting yourself as a commodity, and then you will never
Yes.
gain any traction. Those type of photos that you provide are really there's such a huge asset visually because they're beautiful and the quality is there, but then brand wise, because it really does capture the essence of the character of the business owner. And I think it's beautiful that you are capable of capturing a brand when the owner themselves don't even know their own brand. That is such an incredible genius to be able to have, because most of us aren't aware of what it is that stands out or what it is that's unique about us. But that's the reason people will purchase. That's the reason they're coming to us. And you can get it with your pictures, even when they aren't aware of what it is. That's incredible to me.
Well, okay, so this is a bit of a cheat. You know, that is actually very, very difficult to do. So that's why I spend a lot of time up front with the client to talk to them about what their brand is, even if they don't know what their brand is. So we get like some essentials down because, you know, I mean, as a photographer, it's like, well, what are we going for? We need to have some kind of plan or vision. A shot list is always so helpful. So, like I have a variety of questions that I ask people, but I also, you know, when they book with me, I do send them something called a power bundle. And that is a very succinct kind of PDF where they answer some very specific questions that will get them very quickly to creating like some essential photos that they want and need what they need, right? And so it's so helpful to them and it's just as helpful to me. And the reason why it's helpful to them is because then when they're coming to the photo shoot, they're like, oh, I need these props. Oh, I know I'm talking to these people. So what will attract those people? Like it sort of aligns everything in your core. It makes you excited because then you are purpose driven. You're not like this ambivalence really creates a lack of confidence in people, right? I mean, we all know that the more focused you are on something, the greater the chances this is what I think, that all these serendipitous moments start to align around you. And so it's also because you start to see those things that you're looking for and that you want, and then people are seeing you in that way. And it's sort of like this kind of cool cycle. Yeah, I don't know, I rambled on there, but
I totally agree with you. That was a huge component of the 3-day challenge I just did. Was it was about falling in love with your business again, but it was really about tapping back into that core so that you are really connected with your reasons for why. And 100%, when you go into business, when you're actually centered like that, everything changes. When you're lost in the weeds, that's when nothing is working. Everything is
Oh,
hard, everything is stressful, but when you come back into that center, that's when you move forward and suddenly, oh, everything is working out really, really well. One of the
yeah. I mean,
one of the things that I love about people getting to work with you is that you give them photos, but you also give them their brand. I know the work that you do where you dig in because you need it for the photos because you're not there just to get
yes,
any type of photo. You really want to capture the essence. But
yeah.
through the process of working with you, they're actually able to come out of it with photos and with clarity around their brand. And that as
So,
a business is hugely advantageous. It's a piece that we all need to have. And I think it's such a bonus that you're able to build that for people and help clarify it through talking with them.
yeah, and I think it's super valuable and um, if they already know where they're going with their brand, it kind of deepens their understanding. If they don't have a plan, it gives them a stepping off point where they can then go away and decide how they're going to sort of elaborate on that, create iterations of their brand. And the thing is like that's included in my base price. And honestly, I don't know, I should be charging more.
That's
But
okay.
like I hate to say that, but there's a lot of value in it. It's like you're getting a lot more than just like photographs. You're getting,
100%.
yeah, you're getting a bit of a plan, you're getting
Yeah.
clear about, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the amount of focus and clarity that you bring, like I do that under brand strategy, and I
Yes.
definitely charge a good amount for it. And the fact that you're leading people in that direction to get photos and you're really helping to build that foundation for them, such a huge advantage. Okay,
Yeah.
talk to me about what are the key elements you focus on when you're capturing a brand's essence through the photos? How do you make sure that it's going to resonate with their target audience?
Well, okay, so your brand identity is the focal point of figuring out how you want to look in your photos and what kind of scenarios we're going to create for you. So, I want to understand a person's personality, but we also want to understand their values and the values of their audience, right? So if you know what the values of your audience are, then you're going to have props that um, sort of, help communicate that. You also have the ability then to story tell around that, right? You're figuring out what your story is, and then I can capture the emotions in a very authentic way. So we're telling what your mission is, why would a person be compelled to purchase your brand? So, and the other thing is like um, we're trying to create a consistency. So from scenario to scenario, we're going for consistency. Like you may have a few things that you offer, but we want to make sure that things are in the same light. You want to have the same color palette, right? You're trying to communicate similar ideals. And today that's what people consumers are looking for. They're looking for the story behind your brand so that they can feel like they belong. And I think we're all looking for a bit of a sense of belonging and sort of a meaningful way to make thoughtful purchases, no matter what they are. Like even, whether it's a service, a coaching service, or whether you're creating, cosmetics or you name it, you know? And then like in doing that, then I'm trying to get authenticity out of the person. And so that brings us back to we were riffing off on authenticity. Because it's like, yeah, that's such a buzzword now. Everybody wants to be authentic, but what is authenticity? Like in terms of showing up for your business and for your clients and your potential clients and your audience. And that is not showing up in your PJs. It is because you're having a bad day, right? It's not because we all have bad days, but as a business owner, you want to be consistent and reliable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was listening to Seth Godin, who's, this marketing guru. I'm sure most people have, or many people have heard of him. And I found that very interesting because I was like, there was some kind of discomfort with the word authentic and kind of an annoyance with it that that I couldn't put my finger on. And then when he said that, I was like, yeah, that's it. So you're not showing up and letting it all hang out. You're having boundaries, like you were saying,
Yep.
around your business and what you're showing people. I mean, you don't have to be perfect, but you do not want to use, your marketing as therapy. How about that?
I love this topic because that's when authenticity stops being authentic, because you are not in business to utilize it as therapy, right? This is where you're actually crossing into being inauthentic. Because if someone is coming to you in a business context and in a business relationship and they're getting personal energy, that's when you've
Yeah.
actually stepped out of integrity. Uh,
Yes.
um,
Integrity.
this is a
Yeah.
huge thing for me, the concept of authenticity, because it's a big part of my brand. And I
Mm.
have distinguished it where it's not about, bringing your full self. We have different roles we play in life. You're a parent, you're a professional. You are not supposed to bring your full self to each one of those positions, especially if you're there to serve others. They need
Yes.
you to be reliable and consistent. And it doesn't
Yes.
mean as a person you don't have variations in your mood and your energy, but it means if you
Exactly.
are authentically embodying that relationship and that role you have stepped into, you are showing up consistently in the way you have promised to. That's real authenticity. It's about integrity.
Yes.
That.
Nice. All right.
Right?
Okay, we got that out there. Hopefully somebody will hear that.
You and I have this is like getting a peek behind the hood. I can see why you and I vibe so well with
Yeah.
our ideas of brand and authenticity. Because the way
Yeah.
you're looking at your photos, I can see now how each piece is but the props are intentionally chosen. There are specific
Yes.
artifacts to evoke a certain reaction on the other side. And that's why every time I have a client that's used your photos, I'm like, this is genius. I couldn't even tell why. I just knew as a marketer, it was exactly what I hoped I would have to work with. But I'm getting an idea as to the genius behind it, how you're doing that now. I love that. For entrepreneurs, we're all on a tight budget, small
Yeah.
business owners, those of us who are low scale and high margin or small scale, it's more important than ever when you have a business built on a small scale that you differentiate and that you're clearly distinct, because like you're saying, that's what you're offering. You
Yeah.
have to really be able to give the right people that piece to emotionally connect with. So
Yeah.
we're talking with a limited budget. What advice do you
Yeah.
have for prioritizing these kind of needs for branding and photography?
Well, I think that no matter what your budget is, you can do this on your own where you're creating like a very clear brand message, right? So you're going to ask yourself very important questions that compel your audience to be attracted to you. So if you're going to do it yourself, it doesn't matter who you do it with, but if you're doing it yourself, it's very simple to say, think about how people see you now, right? And then think about how you want them to see you. And then really think about your future self and what you want to step into. So I think knowing that clarity is really helpful. I think even if you get 2 out of 3 pieces to start, it's a good beginning. And then the more you work through it, then the answers will come. But you actually have to just spend the time. Then, there are questions like, you know, what brands resonate with your audience? And what about those brands do you have that are similar? So that can help you communicate with your audience. And then, yeah, you want to think about the types of clients that you want to work with. Who do you want to work with? That's important because, we don't want to work with everybody. You want to work with the people that really connect with you because you're going to get the best work out of yourself. You're going to create the best product or service for your client. And then you're going to build a community, because that's really important, I think, today in branding, is building a community around yourself, what you offer. And by building a community, I mean creating loyalty. So, you know, you get these fans, these people who have worked with you, they're happy with what you've created for them, and they want to, you know, go along with you, and they want to hold you up to other people. And I mean, that's the most important, I think, is getting really great referrals if you can. So, and you know, you can use that to grow a community as big or as in a different way as you want. It's like your imagination is sort of the limit. So I don't know, is that enough info about that?
That's
Yeah, I'm sure you can
perfect.
add to it.
I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier too, about how there is so much going on out there and we're just trying to scramble for like a second of attention. But what we really want to be doing actually is narrowing down so that we find a community that is in alignment for us, that has our target audience, that works with how we want to work. And then it's more about building a presence in that smaller space. We're never going to compete on the international platform that is Instagram, right? It's just not going to
Exactly.
happen unless we have tens of thousands of dollars for content every month. But finding those smaller communities and connecting with them and then building out our own, we only need so many clients. We only need so many
Thank you.
customers.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, the scaling thing. That's all I see on the ads. You scale up your business. Well, what if I don't want to scale up? What if I'm happy having several clients a week, or, you know, whatever it takes to earn a really nice living so that I can support my family and still maintain my sanity? Everybody's going for like the big bucks, which is cool. Like, it's great if that's what you want, but we don't all have to do that, right? I mean, I just think it's a lot of pressure. And I think, like, being at the beginning, that just, I don't know, creates this weird kind of, oh my God, I'm chasing after something before you've got an established foundation.
It's also a bit of a pyramid scheme. If you start to watch those ads, the
Yeah.
reason they're selling that process is because they're in the middle of it themselves. It's
Okay,
because,
explain.
so when someone's moving on to the online world to build a business, they automatically, they actually start in that small section themselves. Otherwise, they don't have a business. And
Right.
once they test that out, they then decide to move into scaling. And
Yeah.
so they reach back and they start telling everybody else to scale so they can package the process they're going through. So it's like a
Right.
snake eating its own tail. They're selling you the thing that they're doing, even if it's not
Yes.
right for you or your business, because that's what's allowing them to scale. They're finding enough
Yes.
people willing to buy the snake oil that they then
Right.
build a business out of selling snake oil.
Yes, yes, that makes complete sense.
Which
Yeah,
is, a lot
exactly.
of us are not there. My like counter to this, and this comes from my museum background, is what I think a lot of us really are moving, even those of us working in the online space, we're
Yeah,
moving into something more of a craftsman economy. And this is actually statistically proven. Online, we are moving from big scale things. That era is starting to wane, and we're moving
yeah,
into smaller scale groups. And I think what's happening is more of us are moving online or using promotion online to connect with potential in-person customers so we can have a craftsman style business. We have
yeah.
something we do that we love to do, that we do well, but it's just like the blacksmith back in, the 1700s. They didn't want to serve the whole county. They wanted to
Right.
serve the town. And all they
Yes.
needed was enough money to be their income. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of us are moving online now, but all the ads that you're getting are from the snake oil sellers who are using
Yes.
you to scale their own business while selling you how to scale a business.
Yes, exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
more of the conversation turning to how do those of us who are more craftsmen And we're
Yeah.
not trying to build this huge conglomerates of passive income. And we're right, like that's not what we're actually trying to do. We just want to build a nice, sustainable, reliable business where we get to share our craft with other people and
Yeah.
we get to help support them in whatever they're doing with their craft. And that's a whole
Exactly.
different type of marketing, which is why I am raising my fist and getting involved and being
Yes.
like, okay, let's do this the right way, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not a cookie cutter solution for everyone.
As you know,
I
with
think
branding, right? Every time you sit down with a client, you're digging into their individual story and their individual business. And
exactly.
it can't be cookie cutter, but you know what you can't scale? Anything that's not cookie cutter, which is why they're always selling us cookie cutter because it's the only way
Yes,
they can scale it out and build up that huge income they're looking for.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, tell me about one of your clients that got photography from you and it went on and really helped them. It helped them really cement their brand and they saw a difference in their business. I know you've had quite a few. Give me an example of one of them.
Okay, so I have two examples. One example is like a success story that of a person who is a coach. And she was really like I would say she was near the startup phase, but she had, had some groups that she was coaching and doing a few things. And then we did a photo shoot of all the sort of nuances of her business. So she has like this huge library of photos now. And I mean, she didn't have any stats for me, but what she did say was that the photos were very important for her because they gave her a professional look. And so they added credibility to her business. And in doing so, that provided other opportunities, one of which is speaking. So yeah, so she's like it's opened the door to speaking gigs and podcasts, which is one way that she's marketing herself, right? So that's very, very cool. And yeah, she's just getting more eyes on herself
That's
in whichever way. So you start with the photos. I see this person, she's in this speaking platform, or she offers like a yoga seminar or a workshop. I can see all the things that she does, and then there's a consistency across the board of colors, of atmosphere, of lighting. So, she can use those photos that way. So she's just feels like she's been taken more seriously in her field.
yeah.
So I have a little bit of a sad story, but still very sort of important in understanding the necessity of having photos and what they can do for you. So I had a client who she had like a certified B Corp business, and she came to me for personal branding, but I helped her take really great photos. She was really happy with them. And then when we went to the reveal session, she told me that like she's very close to folding her business, which was really sad. And I was like, oh, this would have been good to know beforehand, but it's still, I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the photos because we did really spend time figuring out, that she wanted something fun. She wanted to show herself. She wanted to show the bags because she loved her bags. She loved her product. And like, I think that was so key. But what she said to me was, like, she said it a couple of times in the session. She's like, I should have come to you sooner. I should have come to you sooner. And that was so sad because if she had come to me sooner, then she not only would have had like really beautiful product photos, but she would have had beautiful photos of herself as the owner connecting with people. And yeah, unfortunately, they have shut their doors. So that's just an example of, you know, of a person who really had a lot of integrity with her person, had invested so much time and energy into a lovely product, and then realized that, she should have incorporated the personal aspect of it way sooner. And she thinks that that could have possibly like it could have maybe taken on a life of its own.
Yeah.
So I
Uh,
don't like sharing those stories, but at the same time, it kind of proves a point.
yeah, 100% brand photos and product photos, all of that.
Yeah,
That's like that first stage of our funnel, that awareness stage. It's first impressions.
yeah,
And that decides whether people are going to move further into your funnel or not. And if your first impressions are weak or watered down or unprofessional or don't lend credibility, you do lose out on people who, if you just had the right photos, would have moved further and they would have reached out and they would have contacted you, or they would have come into the store, or they would have looked at your product. But if
yeah,
that top of the funnel is not optimized, and something as simple as doing a brand photo shoot, oh my gosh, if I had my dream, every single business I start with, the
yeah.
first thing I would do would be like, okay, go get your brand photo shoot, and then we will start
Yes,
our work. Because it is, and
right.
it's a gift that keeps on giving. I've had
Yeah,
photos from businesses that I've worked with for 4 or 5 years. And if you have that library, you got to get them refreshed every now and then.
yeah,
But you
yeah.
have that library to work with, and
I
you get
know.
years out of it for your social media, your email, everything. It just, they're so advantageous, and they do make a difference between a business being able to grow or a business getting stalled out and not seeing that traction that they need to grow.
Yeah, I think the interesting part about this particular brand that I'm talking about, that like she did have um professional photos done of her bags. And I know that she invested in that early, but I think what was really missing, because she's such an integral part of the business and her values were so strongly intertwined with those bags, that her appearing with them would have made them, like her brand, like 1,000 times stronger.
Yep.
um, yeah.
She was
So I,
she
yeah,
was almost positioned as a commodity. A bag is a bag is a bag is a bag, where she was lacking her distinction, which is her story and her values and her behind the bag.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah, we can't
exactly.
be a commodity unless we have millions of dollars for sales ads and we have millions of sales to justify a
Yeah,
low margin. We cannot be a commodity. We have to bring that distinction out, and photos are definitely such a key aspect to it. Talk to me a
yeah.
little bit about the digital landscape. Everything is online. Even if you are a brick and mortar, you are still online, or you should be. Talk to me about how can we keep up with this stuff? What can we use with our photography to make sure that it's not something that's going to just age out after the next trend? It's something that we can keep our branding relevant and engaging.
Okay, that's a good question. So I think the most important, one of the most important things is figuring out any way that you can personalize your message.
Mm,
So by personalizing your message, that is your unique value, right? There's only one of you. Um, if you talk about what's important to you, um, if you show up in photos that really, you know, show who you are in a very authentic way, in a storytelling way, I think that's a really important, you know, part of the landscape now. I mean, the thing is that the way these platforms are laid out, those are changing all the time, right? How they do these algorithmic, um, use these algorithms. But what doesn't change is how you tell your story. So telling your story in a way that is speaking to a very specific audience that you want to connect with, creating these visuals that um, really resonate, that set you apart. You know, that's part of like creating this community. So I really think it's the community aspect of it. And the thing is you do have to be aware of sort of changes in this landscape so that you're able to create iterations of your brand that remain relevant to your audience, right? You sort of have to kind of have your hand on the pulse of what is going on out there and keep an eye on what's working for your business brand wise and what's not, and sort of, use your community to give you information about that.
Very good point. Being adaptable. Well, I agree with you 100% on the principles of connection and storytelling are the principles regardless. Whatever platform you're
Yeah,
on, whatever
exactly.
trends are happening, but staying adaptable and responsive. And I think that's also a part of building the community. If you're not
Yeah,
responsive to your community, you're not going to build one because it has to be a
right.
two-way dynamic. It can't just
Yes,
be a one-way street. Very, very true.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My
Um,
last question.
okay.
What was your biggest win as a business owner and what's been your biggest struggle?
Oh, well, they're actually one and the same.
Seems to be the common answer, actually.
It is, right? It's so
Yeah.
funny because I'm like, that's the, one of the questions I struggle with the most. And I'm like, well, it's so funny. They're actually the same thing. So, my struggle has been to keep being a photographer over these 20 years because, as you know, like we have so many identities. So, you're a sister, a mother, a daughter, caregiver, a babysitter, just, so I've had all these things sort of happen over the span, especially of the last 10 years, between, my husband doing his PhD, having aging parents, having a parent who was ill, having a parent who moved in with us and, renovating our house to accommodate that. I mean, these are all like huge life events that, I was like, what am I doing? Should I still keep my business going? So, so I have one hand in and one hand out, and it creates a lot of, and that creates a lot of ambiguity because, you have all these pulls, people are pulling you in all these directions. And the thing is that family is one of my values. So I can't just not take care of people. That's just part of who I am. So I think that's, that's just, yeah, who I am. And so that's been a struggle. So at the same time, I've managed to stay in it. So that's like one of the wins. I've stayed in it. I figured out how to sort of maneuver this. There's me, family support and like my husband supporting me is like, that's the biggest thing, because it's really hard when if you're wanting to do something and you're getting pushback from the people that you really care about. But I've been lucky enough to not really experience that. So that's been really, really helpful. And I'm really grateful for that. So when I was talking to my husband, he jokes around. He's like, I said, yeah. I'm like, what was one of my biggest wins? He's like, your husband.
He's a good marketer.
No, he's not, but yes, that was a good answer.
That's amazing. Your husband. This is about business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
I love
yeah.
that. Yeah, there's businesses, if you're going to stick it out in business, you have to draw deep. Like it has to come from such a deep intrinsic place because there are so many things that pull us out, and there's so many other avenues we could be going down. Business is
Oh,
a beautiful thing and it brings a lot with it, but it really, you have to constantly go back to why am I doing this? And is this still the right choice for me? So big
yeah.
congrats that you're still here.
Thanks.
I'm grateful you're still here.
Oh, you're so sweet. Yeah,
I,
thank you.
the
Because
business,
I mean,
the work you're doing is absolutely incredible. The cat has
oh,
joined.
look who showed up.
It's
That's so
authentic,
sweet.
right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you. That's very kind of you. Yeah, what you're doing is important too. I feel like, I mean, I think I told you about this branding document that a potential client sent me, and I was like so disappointed when I saw it. I thought, oh, wow, I wonder what this person paid for
Yeah.
this document. I was like so excited to get the document, right? Because I'm like, this is really going to help me so that I can help them. And then I saw it and I was like, I don't know. It didn't have a lot of depth. It just looked like something that was thrown together. I mean, I don't know what the budget was. Maybe it was but still, it just lacked clarity. It really did seem cookie cutter. It seemed like something that any of us could have done on a first go around. And that was really,
Excuse me. Brand is one of those things. It's the foundation. You have to do it right or wait to do it. But it
yeah,
has to be done well because you build everything else on top of it.
yeah. And I was like, oh, this is not something Cheyanne would have done. And it's not
Love
something
brand.
I would have done either. Like, you know, I
And there's a
mean,
lot of it. There's a lot of it out there. One of the things that hurts my heart, and I know you're the same for small businesses and
yeah,
entrepreneurs who are taking the risk of investing in something like their brand or their photos when they are getting that kind of result over and over again. It's why the credibility and the trust in services like we offer is something we have to really fight to earn, because there
yeah.
is a lot out there where they're just, they're spending money and they're not getting what they really need out of it to grow their business. Which is why I appreciate that you are still in photography and still offering what you do. You're helping my business owners and the people that I try to help, and you're giving them such great quality work.
Thank you. And so are you. Like you're such an inspiration. I mean, I've learned so much from you and I love that you get so excited about this topic and your knowledge base is like so deep. So thank you.
I love sharing it. Thank you for being on here. This has been a great conversation, Deanna.
Yeah, thanks. I know it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.